On today's show,
we discuss whether DeMar DeRozan is a max contract player and the odd inspiration behind LeBron's shooting resurgence.
in the Up-Down report, has Melo developed a better overall game? And is it cool for players to wear retired numbers?
And Jared Greenberg joins us live from Milwaukee to set up tonight's Bulls-Bucks.
It's Tuesday, January 12th. The starter starts now.
Good evening, Sweet World, and welcome to The Starters. Whether you're listening to the podcast or watching us on NBA TV and or YouTube, we're happy to have you. I'm J.E. Skeets, and alongside me, as always, Tess Mellis.
Top of the Tuesday to you. That should be a saying.
To his right, it's the international man of mystery taking it to the max, Lee Ellis.
Friend.
Lily.
Lily, showing off the guns today. Nice. And last, certainly not least, it's our starters blog editor, Trey Kirby.
Hey-o!
Hey-yo! TK, what do you got for us today?
Well, I'm here at the internet looking for your best tweets at #TheStarters, and you might already heard the news that NBA Celebrity Game tickets are now on sale. Great news for the Beliebers and Project Brothers lovers out there. However, if you want to see the starters in the game, there's still a little bit more work to be done, but that's why we put together this quick video resume to show what we can bring to the NBA Celebrity Game. We got shooters, we got scorers, we got
Left-hand shoot. That was
we got
left-handed.
guys on the boards. We're hitting that glass. We're playing defense.
we
We
got
got
the three ball.
tallies. We got smallies.
Oh.
We know our history, but we're still relevant with the youth. And of course, our beef
Trick
with
shots.
Michael Rappaport would drive huge ratings for the Celebrity Game. But
Get
here's
us
what-
in this game.
Get us in this game, and here's how you can do it. Tweet out the starters or any of our four names along with #NBA Celebrity Vote, and then do that 1,000 more times
Yeah.
every single day. To be clear, no one is tabulating these votes, and they don't actually count for anything, but if it's trending worldwide, they probably will put us in. It's our best shot.
Hopefully LeBron will do it to it like us, what he did to his friends, you know?
Yeah.
Sure.
Hey, man, I'll tweet, I want you in that game.
All right.
I'll do it right now.
#NBA Celebrity Vote. We won in this game. It's in Toronto. It only makes sense. All right, we got an action-packed show here. Let's start with a little Is This News? It's been a little while if you're new to the show. We had Trey round up some recent NBA headlines. He'll pitch them to us, and we will determine whether or not they're actually news. Are they worth talking about or not? Trey, what's the first one?
First one comes to us from RealGM.com, and it reads the Lakers to offer DeMar DeRozan a max contract. Is this news?
This is not news. DeMar DeRozan's going to get a monster deal this offseason. The man is entering his prime. He is playing his best basketball. He deserves a huge contract. So this isn't news. I am a little intrigued by the Lakers being involved. DeMar DeRozan possibly replacing Kobe Bryant. When Kobe retires, DeMar, a local Compton boy, obviously models his game after Kobe. But this isn't news because the man's going to get paid entering his prime. He deserves it. Look at what he's doing this year. He has become the best basketball player he ever has been. This guy doesn't shoot the three ball, and he's still this good a basketball player. The defensive end could get a little bit better, DeMar, but with the way the guys are getting paid, this guy's getting paid, so this isn't news to me.
Yeah, ESPN's Professor Zach Lowe, the one sort of breaking this, and we've seen it everywhere today, about, especially with the Lakers possibly interested. I'm with Tass. It wasn't news when DeMar was opting out. It's not news. It's not news.
Not Demuse?
Oh boy.
Yeah, he hasn't
it's
opted
not
out.
news that he's going to get a max contract because, especially, not only is he a great basketball player and he's still young and he's getting better as we've seen, the shooting guard position, it's thin.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's very, very thin. I'm with you on this.
Coming into this season, though, it would have been news him getting a max contract because I think people weren't quite sure how to assess him. And you mentioned he doesn't shoot the three-point ball well, which is true, but he does get to the line third most in the league,
Yeah.
and he shoots a good percentage, 84% this year. So
He
you
makes
can't
up
have
for it, yeah.
everything. But if you have one strength like that, that's a very, very valuable tool to have.
I will say this. This might be news come mid-April, late April, if the Raptors once again can't win a playoff series.
Yeah.
And Zach Lowe brings that up in the article. I mean, what happens if the Raptors, heaven forbid, they don't win again? Do you just keep going with Lowry, and do the Raptors keep DeRozan, and you keep this sort of core without ever having won a playoff series? That's when it's interesting,
That's
and that's
the
when it
question.
might be news.
Yeah, heaven forbid that this team doesn't win a
Yeah, you're
playoff
right.
series.
We're Raptors fans.
Again.
It's been a long 20 years, man.
Well, it's a big question that we've got two guys on that team entering their primes in Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan, and if you can't win after signing a guy like DeMar DeCarroll to sort of make up for the problems that DeMar DeRozan has, to be able to stop guys, and you don't win another playoff series, it might be time to let him go. But DeMar thought that he was going to get a max deal coming into this season. And I think he has earned around that amount because of the way people are getting paid this year. And you look at the free agent crop this coming offseason, there aren't huge names. DeMar is one of the biggest names.
Sure.
And if he decides not to take that player option, he will be alongside Durant, Al Horford, Hassan Whiteside, and Mike Conley as those guys. Dwight Howard, another guy who could not take that player option. And why would they take that player option when there's so much money out there with the salary cap bump?
That's the thing. It's just a perfect time to be a free agent right now because you really do have so many teams with so much money, and they're going to look for a star. As you mentioned, entering his prime. He's been an all-star in the past. He's likely to be an all-star again.
Gotta think so.
I think this season. So he certainly has a pretty solid resume.
All right, so we sort of all say not news. We asked you to play along, by the way, on Twitter, #TheStarters. What's the next one, Trey? You got another headline for us that's actually
you know
news?
I got one. It comes to us from Yahoo Sports, and it reads, Quincy Pondexter to have season-ending surgery. Is this news?
I know no one talks about this man, but I think this is news. Coupon, what a great nickname. Quincy Pondexter.
Great name, Joe.
If he was a New Orleans Pelican this season, I think they'd win a handful more games. They're not far out of the playoff picture. They're only 5.5 games out. But this guy is the perfect player to put around a guy like Anthony Davis because he shoots money from outside. He's 43.3% last year in 45 games from three. That's a great number. Alonzo G and Dante Cunningham are the guys they start at three. They don't shoot the ball all that well, 30% combined from three-point land. I think Quincy Pondexter, I know not a big name, but if he was standing out there, the New Orleans Pelicans would have a bunch more wins and would be on the precipice of that playoff spot.
Just another blow for the Pelicans. Their season hasn't even been able to get off the ground at any stage. And he is an important player on that team because, again, when you've got someone like Anthony Davis, you just need guys who can find a spot and knock down that shot. And without him on the floor, it just changes what they do. So, unfortunately, it's not news because he hasn't been there at all this season, and the Pelicans' season is not sort of depending on him coming back. But it's just a blow for the Pelicans.
You know, they trade for him last year in that sort of three-team deal. He did play well. He played about 30 minutes a game down the stretch there, was putting up 9 points a game. He gives them perimeter defense, too, which they desperately need. You see, like, I mean, this is the
they've got a
match
few
unit
problems,
here.
yeah.
They've had a lot of problems. No one's playing for this team because everyone's injured. I'm with you, Tess. It's not a big name, of course, but it is news because he would help them. He would help them get some wins, there's no doubt, especially defensively where they're 28th ranked in the league. There's more news around this Pelicans team, too. There's reports that Joe Dumars, the former president with the Pistons, is actually going to step in and take over GM, possibly with this Pelicans team. So he's got a close relationship with Tom Benson there, and maybe he'll take over basketball duties.
That is news as well.
I just gave you actual news.
News right there.
That would be news because Joe Dumars had a really good start of his career as a GM in Detroit, but it didn't end quite so well. So maybe he needs a fresh start as well. And it'd be interesting to see if he could show what it was like at the start in Detroit rather than how it ended because, I mean, he handed out a lot of bad contracts toward the end, but maybe in a different franchise, different organization, things go well for him.
Yeah, in a second try, you can always improve. I think we all just sort of remember that the end, which didn't work out that well. But that championship year, those years, he was fantastic. He was lauded for a long time.
All right, Trey, I think we got time for one more big headline. What do you got?
Yes, our final headline is brought to you by the Chill Bros at Ball Don't Lie, and it reads LeBron James credits a damning but accurate tweet for his hot play. Is this news?
Well, before we get to whether or not this is news, you should have asked us, is this shoe?
Is this shoe?
Because this is shoe. John Schumann, NBA.com's John Schumann is the tweet. And we see it here, at the end of the calendar year in 2015, Schumann pointing out that some of the worst high-volume shooters from outside the paint in this league were not only Kobe, which I think most people may have had in the mix, but actually LeBron was worse. LeBron sees this, by all accounts, and has a nap, wakes up, and then he can't miss a shot because he's been on fire lately. But I don't think this is news because LeBron James is an unbelievable basketball player. And I don't believe it took a John Schumann tweet to get him back to the mean.
Are you discounting Schumann's stats?
I'm sorry, Schumann's a great stat, but I don't really think it did anything.
Well, it's news for me because everything surrounding LeBron is news, no matter what he says, no matter what he does. And for me, it was almost like a Michael Jordan-like response because he found any slight and used that as motivation. He wasn't having a go necessarily, John Schumann wasn't having a go at him personally, he was just pointing out a stat. And I think since then, LeBron has responded, and sometimes that's all you need is just a little bit of motivation. He went out there and he's led his team to a couple of victories since then.
Look at those stats. This is definitely news. His mid-range numbers, three-point numbers, jumped up like crazy. He was in Denver. He woke up from a nap. He looked at his cell phone, saw a tweet from John Schumann, got up out of that bed, and kicked butt. This is news. Our own resident John Schumann changed the NBA this season for at least 10 days. This is news.
There was sort of concern, though, about, and it always happens when LeBron sort of goes through those phases where he can't hit a shot, about how many minutes he's played in his career and how deep he's always going into the playoffs and has whether it's caught up to him because the legs are going and is he going to have to take like a 2-week break again like he did like that was you were starting to hear that.
Yeah.
Despite, which is hilarious, despite LeBron having still a fantastic year while shooting 28% from outside the paint up until that point.
People haven't been up on Schumann stats like we have.
Yeah.
We've been saying Schumann stat on this show for a long time.
Do you think LeBron said that when he woke up?
Schumann stat! You need an alert. You need an alert tone that just says, Schumann stat!
We'll get on that during the break. I like that idea. All right, why don't we gotta come back, but are we thumbs up or thumbs down on Dad Melo? And what does that even mean? You're watching the starters. Back with the starters into the up-down report where we figure out where the four of us stand on some hot-button NBA topics with these cool foam thumbs. Play along on Twitter, hashtag the starters up or down. All right, guys, first one. Yesterday, Knicks blog, Posting and Toasting, they introduced the world to the concept of Dad Melo. The best iteration of Carmelo Anthony yet. Yes, P&T writes, Dad Melo has become a shining example of basketball the way it should be played. Melo, of course, rebounding and his passing numbers, they're at an all-time high for him. So the numbers are great. He's passing the ball. He looks good. The Knicks are winning. Everyone's happy. Are you up or down on the concept of Dad Melo?
How can you be down?
How can you be down? Yeah. Everyone's up.
I think Melo has grown up.
Yeah.
He's dead.
Aside from the numbers, I think it's sort of his ideology in his head. I need this guy beside me. I need Kristaps beside me. And he's not shooting the ball all that well quite yet. Add that in, and he's money in the bank.
And this is exactly the role he should really be playing for the Knicks right now because he's probably not going to be the superstar for the next great Knicks team, right? So he needs to find a way to fit in with the guys who are great, make other players better, so that hopefully the timeline can accelerate and he can still be a part of a great Knicks team while he's still there.
That ISO ball that he used to play a lot was hard to watch. Now the Knicks are actually a lot more fun to watch because the ball's moving around, it's fizzing around a little bit. They've got Porzingis as well, but Carmelo is realizing his role is to help facilitate these young guys and share the ball, and he's doing it really well.
You want to put our hands down? I don't know where we're both
All right, we're all up on that.
I'm up.
That's easy. Melo's looked great. All right, next one here, guys. On Monday, the Philadelphia 76ers announced plans to retire Dolph Schayes number 4 jersey later this month. Very, very cool. But they said that Nerlens Noel will still wear the number in honor of the late Hall of Famer. So they're going to retire number 4, but Nerlens Noel, by all accounts, is still going to rock number 4. Are you up or down on players wearing retired jerseys?
I'm way up.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm down.
Why? Why are you being a renegade?
Well, look, we're always doing one streak, one season with the Warriors.
So what?
One number, one player. That's what I'm saying. Yes, I mean, look, if you're going to retire it, it's retired. No one can wear it.
I'll say that you actually get to honor the player more
by wearing it
because somebody on the floor is wearing it.
Well,
because
what if
you put
you're
it up
horrible?
in the rafters. Well, at least you're talking. If he's horrible, then you're talking about the great player. Oh, Nerlens Noel is bad. Remember when Dolph Schayes wore number 4? Those were the days. That player is remembered a heck of a lot more because it's current.
When LaMarcus Aldridge joined the San Antonio Spurs this season, that number 12 was retired by Bruce Bowen, and they asked Bruce Bowen, they said, do you mind if LaMarcus wears it? And he was like, of course, welcome him to the family. I want to make him feel comfortable. I think it's okay, especially when you have the blessing from the player who wore it before. And even if, let's say LaMarcus Aldridge is a superstar for the Spurs and he also wants to get his number retired, what's wrong with just putting 2 up there, 12s up there?
Happened with the Yankees.
There you go.
Bruce gave him his blessing and probably a box of Sherry's berries too.
And a bow tie.
Delicious.
Thumbs up to the Bears.
All right, I got to know, are you guys great with kids? And
Sometimes.
have strong nonverbal communication skills?
Oh, for sure.
Because if so, you need to check out this NBA team job posting. The recently rebranded Clippers are seeking a highly motivated, energetic, and talented individual to become the team's new mascot. Yes, guys, are you up or down on the Clippers creating a mascot?
Gotta be.
Whoa, we got 2 ups, 2 downs.
Couple haters.
Is this like, would we be the mascot or just a mascot?
You would be a great mascot, but no, the idea in general.
The Clippers doing it.
Here's why I'm down. The NBA hasn't had much success lately with new mascots. We had the Pierre the Pelican Part 1, which was just downright scary. They just killed him and brought another one. And then we had the Brooklyn Knight with the Nets, he lasted what, 2 years?
Yeah.
Because he was freaking everyone out.
I wonder why.
And they just got rid of him. And so I'm
It's
worried.
terrifying.
I'm just worried that if the Clippers try and do this, we're just gonna have another one that'll last for a year, and then they got to get rid of him.
Yeah, but see, that's why I'm up on this, because I feel like this is an area where we could definitely help out. Because a name like the Clippers, there are a lot of different ways you can go. So, I put together a few Photoshops just so we can brainstorm some ideas, How about Harry the Clippers? A set of hair clippers. Everybody would love that. It's also a bit of a nod to Billy Crystal, the star of When Harry Met Sally. How about Skipper the Clipper? Not many people know a clipper is a ship,
Yeah.
but it is, educate the kids. Chip the Clip, also an idea. It's a nod to an old bench nickname, the Chip Clip.
Okay.
Yeah.
Plus, I'm
Find
sure you
that
could
one.
get some branding opportunities in there, I would guess.
smart.
Steve Ballmer would also be an incredible mascot, no lack of energy, and he spent enough on this team, so he should be able to do whatever he wants. If all else fails, though,
Oh,
the
yeah.
Paperclip, bring him back. Nobody knows where he's been or why he
Yeah.
ever shows
Ah,
up.
that's
so
right.
would probably be a great mascot.
Some nice suggestions there for the Clippers brand. All right, final one here, guys. For the last few seasons, the Hawks card game of choice has been Uno. All right, but this year, it sort of ramped it up a little bit. They're always playing this on the team plane or in the hotel, but they added some of the more notorious Uno cards from at least 2 other decks this year. We're talking about all the draw 2s, the wild draw 4s, reverses, skips. So the Hawks, are you up or down? As you see here, Kent Bazemore Instagramming that out there. Are you up or down on this ruthless version of Uno?
You got to
I'm
be
up.
up. Yeah.
You got to be up.
Uno's a bit overrated, let's be honest. It's
Yeah,
a bit
I'm more
boring.
of a skip go guy myself. That's why I'm down. Too many traumatic draw 4 experiences.
Yeah, I think Uno is one of those games you play great when you're a kid. When you're 8, you love it. Then you get a bit older and like, come on, we
Why
need
you
to.
up, man?
I'm up because they're adding their own spice to
nice.
it. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
okay. Lee, we always have you open old packs of basketball cards.
Right.
We thought it could be fun for you to open an old pack of Uno cards. So come on, man.
All right,
Let's
all
take
right.
us to the break with
Oh,
this.
okay.
season
Wow.
are these from?
These are
They're fresh.
These are from the '89 season, probably. Like all our basketball
All
cards.
right, let's get a
Are you
card out
shuffling?
here.
All right, what do we do? What are we doing?
Shuffle
3
them up.
each? 3 each?
No,
No,
Oh,
let's
we're
see
playing?
these cards,
let's
man.
see
Oh,
them.
you want to just see them? Okay, we've got this card.
It's a blanket.
Blank!
Blank. Okay. We got a 1. Boo, get out of here.
What
One.
do we do with blank cards?
Yeah.
Get them out of here.
All right, not as fun as basketball cards, is that right?
What is this one? No, a lot harder to.
Oh, we got a red zero.
Zero?
Yeah, this is what we want.
That's a
This is what
Dame.
we
That's
want.
a Damian Lillard right there.
That's what we want, right?
Oh,
Draw 4.
I love it. I
four.
love it.
All right.
Yeah.
Wow, that was fun.
Did you like Uno?
Yeah, I did like it when I was a kid, yeah.
Yeah, you don't
But
like it
I'd
now.
like to play this new improved version. I think that'd be a bit more
New
fun.
and
It'd be a bit
improved.
more spicy out there.
Again, let us know. Thumbs up or thumbs down
A little safer than Bure, too.
on the ruthless Uno. Yeah, that's true. All right, coming up, Jared Greenberg joins us live from Milwaukee to get us ready for tonight's division matchup. It's a fan night doubleheader tonight on NBA TV. Chicago and Milwaukee match up for the second time this week in our opener on the network, followed by the Pelicans and Lakers as your nightcap. But joining us live from Milwaukee right now, it's NBA TV's Jared Greenberg. J-Bomb, are you staying warm in chilly Milwaukee?
That is an impossible task at these points of the winter. They tell me, in fact, that it's too cold to even snow, even though we saw some flurries last night. But I'm happy to report that it is 5 degrees today. That's up 2 degrees from the 3 degrees that I endured last night walking the streets of Milwaukee.
All right, so it's balmy, nice in Milwaukee right now. All right, look, we know you spoke to Bucks head coach Jason Kidd, not there with the team right now. Do we have an update on whether or not Kidd's any closer to returning to the Bucks bench?
Yeah, Skeets, it really seems like the next 2 weeks are going to be really crucial for Jason Kidd. Over the weekend when the team was in New York to play the Knicks, Coach Kidd got a really positive progress report from his doctors that performed the hip surgery, and they cleared him to be without crutches. Now he needs that bone to be strong enough so he feels like he can be mobile on the sidelines. He doesn't want to feel like he can't move if a player comes charging towards him and obviously risking further damage to his hip. So once that bone is strong enough, which he hopes to get cleared in the next 2 weeks, we'll see Jason Kidd back on the Bucks bench.
That's great news. I'm sure he's not happy with the number of wins the Bucks have this season, but is he? Have you talked to him at all about whether or not he's happy about the growth and development of his very young Bucks roster?
Yeah, it's an unusual circumstance because last year they were the league's most improved team, and you thought that this year they could even build on that. But what I think most of us forgot to account for was the veteran leadership, not just the stats, but the presence that a Zaza Pachulia, a Karan Butler, a Jared Dudley, the impact they had in the locker room, down the court. And you remember during many of the big games, especially against the Bulls in the playoffs, the games that they were able to win, those guys had a big impact, especially late in games. Now Coach Kidd's saying, okay, we intentionally wanted to now throw our guys in the fire. He said they got to learn sooner rather than later if they have what it takes to be leaders by themselves and to close out games. So, yeah, they're going to suffer some heartbreaking losses. He hopes that they'll also be able to surprise some people and put together some wins. But at some point, this thing has to come together, and it's a core of really young players that they hope can come together and have sustained long-term success.
Well, speaking of that playoff series last season, the last time the Bulls were in Milwaukee, they crushed them by 54 points to close out that series. It's a remarkable number. Do you think the Bucks are looking at this game sort of as a revenge game for that loss?
I think it loses a little bit of its luster that they played last week, but you're right, Taz. That was in Chicago. This is the first time they'll be in the building since losing 120-66 during Game 6 of the playoffs. It's an intriguing relationship here with the Bucks and the city of Milwaukee because while they have pretty good fans, really good fans, it's only about a 90-minute drive from Chicago. So during many regular season games against the Bulls, especially while it's still football season here because the Packers are still alive, there may be a building full of Bulls fans, and that may be really tough for the young Bucks to respond to tonight.
Absolutely. Jared, well, thanks so much for joining us. The alternate court looks great behind you there, and
you look good too.
Try and stay warm in chilly, balmy Milwaukee. Got to take a break. When we come back, Lily, where are we going for this very solid play of the night? Only 3 games.
Have to wait and see.
Can't wait to find out. You're watching the starters. Back at the starters, we all took the Bulls last night. We were all wrong. So let's get to tonight's picks. Rockets, Grizzlies. Trey, the only one taking Houston on the road. Skeets, Das, Lee. We're going with the Grizz.
Little beard unity.
There will be a change at the top of the pick'em standings. All right, Lee, where are we going for very solid play?
Only 3 games last night, but the Spurs was on, so I wasn't too disappointed or surprised that we get a very solid play. It's beautiful ball movement.
Oh, man.
Ends with Kawhi. Here it is, Tony to Bobo to
That's
LaMarcus. Over to Kawhi. He lines it up and he knocks down our 3-ball. That's what I call a very solid play.
That was good. That was good.
The hair looks nice on those arms tonight. Listen. All right,
I had them
guys.
fluffed just for today's show.
Some big news. Next week, it is the 10-year anniversary of the starters / the Basketball Jones. We've been podcasting since January 18th, 2006. So
Wow.
we'll have a whole lot of fun on our iTunes and Google Play and the podcast, so check that out.
We've been looking that cool for 10 years.
Yeah, man.
We'll only get cooler. Thanks for joining us, folks. And remember, the more things you have, the more things you have to worry about.
Race the night, people.